We are living in a world which seems to have been gripped by one crisis after another crisis. So many parts of the world the real wars are happening, and the language which is being used by one party for the other party is we shall see to it that you cease to exist. हम तुम्हें सफाई हस्ती से मिटा देंगे, तुम्हारे अस्तित्व को खत्म कर देंगे. Now the question is that if almost every country in the world has signed in 1948 the Charter of Human Rights under the auspices of United Nations, which recognizes for the first, please, I hope you will give due thought to what I am submitting before you. In 1948, for the first time, officially, the world recognized, by world I mean every country, all the people, recognized that human being as human being is entitled to dignity. Earlier, before that, this thing had started crystallizing for a period of 50 or maybe you can say 100 years. But finally it took the concrete legal shape in 1948 when the Charter of Human Rights was adopted, and the basic principle on which from which all human rights emanate is dignity of mankind. If human being as human being is entitled to dignity, then these rights naturally flow from there. And why there was need for it? Because earlier this concept was not there. Civilizations were defined either by color of the skin, we are a supreme race. Everybody is not of the same color. Those who are left out, they become others. Or basically, a human being cannot live as an island to herself or himself. We need a society. And society needs some basis for its cohesion and stability. And that principle world over was either race, either language, or the manner in which people gave expression to their faith and belief. Generally, people recognize, there is one supreme being. But how to approach the supreme being, the methods and the pathways are different. So the other basis which was adopted was, this is our way of doing it, and this is the only right way of doing it. Therefore, that should become the basis for the cohesion and stability of our society, and that certainly when people come together, they accumulate power, and that power is used to build a certain kind of culture and civilization. So 1948, this principle was adopted. Then why all these conflicts are going on? Because as a legal document, we have adopted it. It is very easy to make a law, but it takes a real very hard working to change the habits. Habits are the DNA is affected by the old habits where people consider themselves supreme, their own group supreme to other people, and these others are others for all practical purposes. Now, I'm not going into details, this is just to give you the background and what is the background of why we are having all these tensions and problems in the world. On the other hand, Indian civilization, Indian culture was the thought leaders of India. They had rejected all these parameters and characteristics. They said no, color of the skin cannot become basis for defining your culture. Language which you speak, no, certainly not. The manner in which you give expression to your faith and belief, there can be diverse ways. So that cannot become basis for the cohesion and stability of the society. Then what should be the basis? They said there is only one basis, and that is Atma, the spirit. We often mention about Adi Shankara, that at a very young age he left his village in Kerala, went around the country. He established 4 mutts in 4 regions of the country to create new awareness about the cultural and spiritual unity of India. The buildings do not create unity. What is important is the 4 Mahavakyas which he took from the 4 Vedas, and he gave 1 Mahavakya each to each one of these mutts. What are these Mahavakyas? Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, I am Atma Brahma, Pragyanam Brahma. These are the 4 Mahavakyas which define our civilization and culture. And always remember, monuments of mind are more durable than monument of physical power. It is not the buildings made of cement and mortar bricks. It is the ideas, as Ramji just now he was elaborating on this, that to have the ideas, to have the thinking. So he gave these ideas. What is the difference? I'm not finding any fault with what the world has done in 1948. That's a great thing, because a new chapter started in the history of the world, dignity of mankind. But much, much before that, 1,000 years before that, maybe 5,000 years before that, or maybe older, India had given the concept of divinity of mankind, which is more comprehensive than the dignity of mankind. Divinity of mankind means everything, all the objectives and ideals which we laud today. And I would like to see the topic which we are discussing today, or for which this international seminar has been organized, in that context. Ek Atma Manavvad, as initiated by Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay ji, is not different from what Swami Vivekananda was talking about when he said, in a letter to Sister Nivedita, he said, my mission can be explained in very simple words. I want to teach unto mankind, not Indians. I want to teach unto mankind their divinity and its manifestation in all movements of life. I want to teach unto mankind. And when Adi Shankar said, he not only gave these 4 Mahavakyas from the 4 Vedas to the 4 mutts which define Indian culture and civilization. He, for instance, he says, I'm forgetting the name of that composition, but he says, Twai mai channe treko Vishnu, व्यर्थम कुप्पसी मय्यस इष्णु भव संचित सर्वत्र स्वम वांछसे त्वयि यदि विष्णुत्वम. If you desire liberation or if you want to be merged into the Supreme Being, then you will have to develop that some drishti, abhed drishti, or for that matter, I will give you another one shlok from Vivek Cholamani, where he says, एतावुपाधि परा जीवा योत्सयो सम्यंग निरासे न परो न जीवा राज्यम नरेंद्रस्य भटस्य खेटका स्तयोर पोहे न भटो न राजा. He says that all these differences which we see, they are only question of upadhi, title and appearance. And then he gives this simile that in a state there is a king and his ordinary soldier. If you make them stand together, strip them of the royal regalia, make them wear the same dress, then he says all the differences disappear. And Indian scriptures or Indian darshan is full of such exhortations. For instance, in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan Krishna tells Arjun, Yada bhuta pirthak bhava mekasthamanu pashyati tat evacha vistaram brahma sampadhyate tada. All this diversity which you see around you, this diversity has emanated from one source. This diversity has not emanated from different sources. Whatever diversity, color, language, skin, faith, belief, everything, it all has emanated from one source. And ultimately finally, it will merge into that source again. This is what Gita says. And it is further elaborated beautifully in the Vedanta, wherein it has been said, So kama yata bahu syam pirja yeti. And in the ancient times, the Supreme Being desired that for the creation of my people, I should, the words are very important. For the creation of my people, I should become manifold. मैं अपनी प्रजा के लिए बहुरूप हो जाऊं. And what does it mean? What does it imply? That each one of us, वो अलग रूप है उस परमात्म तत्व का. ना कोई बड़ा है और ना कोई छोटा है. अगर कोई डिफरेंस होता है, ये जो apparent diversity जो, this should not mislead us. There is another beautiful which says, Manasa eva idam apta vyam. It's so powerful. Manasa eva idam apta vyam neha nana asti kinchana mirtyosa mirtyum gacchati ya iha naneva pashyati. The Indian culture tells us to respect and accept every kind of diversity. But at the same time, it warns us that if you will treat this diversity as real, and you fail to see the intrinsic unity behind this apparent diversity, then you shall keep traveling from one life to another. You shall never attain mukti. What a powerful statement. So you have to, basically my point was that this country had given the concept of divinity of mankind. This is the unique contribution of Indian civilization, where it has sought to divinize the humanity and humanize the divinity. The unique contribution of India. Now, we, if we are really aware of our cultural heritage, then we have every reason to feel proud of. But when we look at the whole thing and we see how unaware we have become of our cultural heritage, then we feel a sense of shame and guilt overtakes us. Why I am saying so? Because possibly if we had really delivered the message, Swami Vivekananda repeatedly says that we have a message to give to the world. We have a message to give to the world. If we had really delivered this message to the world, possibly in 1948, there would have been no need for the adoption of the human rights. Divinity of mankind in itself, it ensures all human rights. And I would go to the extent of saying that it is possibly for the first time that a man in political arena tried to use that cultural heritage to define our political objectives. And that was Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay when he said, Ekatm Manavvad. Ekatm is what? Ekatm is spiritual democracy. Like the normal definition of the, it's very interesting, even in parliament. When we want to appeal to the better angels of the opponents, we say, please rise above party politics. Please rise above party politics. As if party politics, as if politics is something dirty. If politics by its very nature is dirty, then why pursue it? But that is how things are. And some place when somebody mentioned, I said that this, again, we are using this terminology only because we are unaware. We have become unaware of our own cultural heritage, how in our culture politics has been defined. The politics in the light of the divinity of mankind. When you define politics, then what our thought leaders have said? They have said, Sarve Tyaga Raj Dharmeshu Dirishta. Sarve Diksha Raj Dharmeshu Chokta. Sarve Vidya Raj Dharmeshu Yukta. Sarve Loka Raj Dharmeshu Privishta. When you pursue politics which is rooted in the concept of divinity of mankind, then the requirement is not that you use fair and foul means to bring down your opponent, then your attitude becomes totally different. Then your attitude, that if I have to be in political life, then I must be ready to make supreme sacrifice. I must have the best manners and best conduct, and I must be good to all kind of people. Then I will be aware that I must try to acquire all kind of knowledge, and I must be aware that my heart and mind should be big enough to accommodate people of all background, all manner of people. What we say when we take oath for different offices, I shall do justice to all manner of people without any fear or favor. Then if you drive your inspiration from the Indian cultural heritage, the concept of divinity of mankind, what Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay has tried to do is to inject that concept of divinity of mankind into our politics. And for that, we must be eternally grateful to him. I would like to conclude, because I have already taken 20 minutes, I would like to conclude with what Swami Vivekananda had said. He was asked what is the purpose of life? He said that the purpose of life is not pursuit of pleasure. Purpose of life is pursuit of knowledge, jnana, tapa swadhyay niritam, ever devoted to the pursuit of knowledge. Ram Madhavji, in his remarks, he had raised a question when Swami Vivekananda was asked a question in England. Find an answer for that. I was always, right from my early days, when I went to the university, and I went to university after doing my high school, I used to ask this question to myself, that if India was recognized as a knowledge destination, as a knowledge civilization, 10th, 11th century, when the Europe had not yet, the European Renaissance had not yet taken off fully. At that time, Middle East, particularly the capital, Baghdad, those who are in the history department, they can see these books. It was rife with intellectual activities, and it had become actually a kind of hub for intellectual activities. And they acknowledged, the Arabs acknowledged, that later part of the, in the 9th century, they translated all the Greek knowledge into Arabic, but most part of the 8th century, they had translated Indian Sanskrit texts into Arabic, and they give credit for that. That is the age which is called Golden Age of the Arabs. And they say that it started with the translation of Sanskrit, right from Panchtantra to Surya Siddhant. This scholar from Sindh, he took a number of books to the court of Mansoor, who was the ruler at that time, and Surya Siddhant fascinated him so much that he immediately entrusted the work along with this scholar from the Sindh. An Arab scholar was associated, and they were asked to translate it into Arabic. And this book was named Hind Sindh. Spain was also being ruled by the Arabs at that time, and the relationship between Baghdad and Spain was not good relationship. So the ruler there realized that he came to know about this book, and then according to Philip Hitti, whose book, The History of the Arabs, is considered one of the most authentic account of the Arab history. Philip Hitti in his book says that the ruler of the Spain paid huge bribe to the scribes to get a copy of that book. And from Spain, this book, Surya Siddhant, rechristened as Hind Sindh. From Spain, it went to almost every European country, and it was translated into European languages, and from there, all their studies, space studies, started from there. Now, each one of them, they say that, of these historians, they say, I'm talking of the Arab historians who have written history in 9, 10, 11, right from Tabri to Ibn Khaldun. They all say that the world has 5 major civilizations. Irani civilization is known for its majesty, Chinese for their craftsmanship, Romans for their beauty and chivalry, Turks for their bravery. And then they say that Indian civilization is the only civilization which is known for promotion of knowledge and wisdom. Then question comes to your mind, same question which somebody asked Swami Vivekananda, that if we were a knowledge civilization, why history has been so cruel to us? The answer is found only either in the lectures of Swami Vivekananda or in the writings. I mean, as far as I know, there may be other books, I have not read everything. But this question always bothered me, and I asked my professors, I asked many other people, and I never found a satisfactory answer. But in the writings of Swami Ranganathananda, the answer is so comprehensive and so logical and rational. He said that we were a knowledge civilization. We were worshippers of Ma Saraswati. And the pursuit of knowledge, as Swami Vivekananda said, that purpose of life is pursuit of knowledge. The pursuit of knowledge, a question has been asked in Upanishad. There is a small dialogue. Tapa is not merely ascesis, austerities, discipline. Tapa is also alochane, meditation, thinking, reflection, thinking critically. So he says that we were worshippers of Saraswati in that sense. And as the dialogue in the Upanishad indicates, that process of acquisition of knowledge is not completed merely by pursuing knowledge. After acquisition of knowledge, unless you share it with others, process is not completed. So he said, the Upanishad says, what is tapa? Tapa is swa adhyay plus pirvachan. Pirvachan means the knowledge which you have acquired, you have now to share it with others. Swami Ranganathananda says that unfortunately during the period of our fall, decline, we stopped share. We did not stop acquisition of knowledge, but we stopped sharing knowledge with others. And that led to our decline. And then he quotes a line from Srimad Bhagavat. He says, Saraswati Gyan Khalv Yatha Sati, who imprisons knowledge within herself or himself. Now that person, scholar, ceases to be worshipper of Saraswati. Ma Saraswati becomes a villain of Ma Saraswati. And he says that is the reason why we had to undergo all this. Fortunately, now there is new, not just now, since the time when the Indian Renaissance started, and that got further boost later on, when there is a new atmosphere, and in this new atmosphere, certainly we can, I think this last sentence, that possibly if we had really given enough thought to our own cultural heritage, then possibly instead of using so many words in our preamble in the Constitution, we would have said merely, we give to ourselves this Constitution. India, not so many these adjectives, merely ekatm manavvad. And that would have covered secularism, that would have... Secularism, no distinction. How can you make distinction? If I see God in you, deho devalaya prokto jivo deva sadashiva, how can I consider you inferior? How can I treat you differently? I have necessarily to see you as extension of my own self. If I can be cruel to myself, then only I can be cruel to you. That is the basic thrust of Ekat Manavad, and for that we shall always remain grateful to. Not that Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay has given this. This was given to the India Mahirshis of India, Munis of India, maybe 5,000, but he is the first man, possibly after Gandhi, who tried to bring this into the body politic of India, and for that we must not only acknowledge, we must say thanks to him. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Dhanyavad. Jai Hind.